Hello everybody, and this is Chaos with Chaos Esports Production, bringing you another viewer cast replay, whatever you want to call it. AricTaylor sent me 2 replays over the week, so I'm going to be doing the second one. I think I've done PvP or PvT and PvZ with him, and now I'm finally getting to do a PvP. So we're going to slow this down a little bit and go ahead and get started. PvP on Newkirk. Now, PvP, from my experience, I tend to go for really early aggression. I find that people who tend to back off and skimp on units really early game can really be damaged really quickly. So we're gonna go ahead and speed it up a little just to get through the initial, building our gateway, building our assimilator. Good luck, have fun, you two. Finally, some manners. I'm a little bit on a time crunch because I have a meeting in like 20 minutes, so no big deal. Anyways, so we're continuing on building up. He chooses to go for a 13 gateway, which I totally agree with. Keeping his minerals down low, which is always good for early game. Sending out, I believe, a scout. I kind of would have liked him to have put that money where his mouth was and put it into the Nexus. Putting down the assimilator, putting down the second pylon. Everything is good to go. I have no complaints with this build whatsoever so far. Cybernetics Core, awesome. Now, one thing I do note is, at this point, you have kind of skipped a Zealot a little bit. I would have chosen to go for an earlier Zealot just to get it out on the field. That way, if any aggression comes, you don't have to really worry about anything. But a little bit late, and you go in, you see, what do we scout? We're going to slow this down, see what you scout. Scout your Cybernetics Core, you compare that to yours, and you say, oh, I'm a little bit ahead. And then this happens. Now, this can be good and bad. Basically, by taking this gas, what you do is you limit him to kind of either, if he's going to do any one base pressure, kind of is what it is. But you also put down this pylon down here, which, I don't know, this delays you significantly by putting, you've got 100 minerals here, you've got 75 minerals here, so you've got 175 minerals that you basically are going to sacrifice, because you let it finish. So I'm not sure I necessarily agree with this, because early game PvP can be very tense and basically boil down to 1 or 2 units. So I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that. At this point, you really haven't seen. You see a stalker. I don't know if you went in and saw a zealot or not. But so you really don't have a whole lot of information. Obviously, he hasn't tried to take his gas fairly early, and you would assume by him destroying that, your pylon, that he's probably taking an expansion. Now that can actually bite you, because if you assume that he takes this expansion and he doesn't, he could be going for really early pressure, which could be a problem for you. So just something to keep in mind. But you still note that he still hasn't taken gas, so if he does do early pressure, he's going to be very limited with the number of stalkers that he can send, because obviously 50 gas a pop. These things only get, like, I think 150 gas per minute. So, he's obviously limited by him not having destroyed the gas, and now he's destroying it, so. Okay, so getting on a 3rd gateway and still no tech. Generally speaking, 3rd gateway's fine, but I'd like to see some tech with that. Had you not built those structures over there, you probably would have had enough to put down either a Stargate or a Robo. So yeah, so you go ahead and plant down a Nexus, and you're still building stuff, which is fine. Units. And you're still building probes, which is also good. I do like the fact that you got this mothership core right before you planted down your Nexus, because that means that once this Nexus finishes, you can actually already photon overcharge. So you got a little bit earlier than you planted down the Nexus. But in general, getting it a little earlier, if you do see early aggression, you can photon overcharge and pretty much hold off any majorly early attack. And you see a whole bunch of stalkers moving out, so you're like, oh, gotta build units. So you start doing that. You get your gateway up. Good. What's your APM looking like nowadays? You're in the 150 range. That could, or no, you're in the 67 range. You're still a little bit slow, but for Gold League, it's not really that big of a deal. It's when you get into Platinum and Diamond when your APM starts to limit you. But anyways, so production. So you see, he's choosing to attack. You have more stuff than him, which is awesome. And you still have enough for a photon overcharge. You're doing good, keeping your money low. You get a fourth gateway, and a robo. A little late on the tech, but at this point, you only have seen gateway units from him, so there's no real tech advantage for either player. So we're gonna go ahead and speed it up, see what we see, and then he chooses to move in. Now, losing this mothership core is actually a really big deal, because had you taken the 2 seconds to click on that mothership core, photon overcharge this nexus, this attack is done. End of story. You can continue building probes and building units behind it, and he really won't, a lot of times they won't attack into it just because, this is, I don't know how much damage it gives you, but it's a significant amount. So choose, I don't know, moving up. That was a little bit bad positioning because you kind of gave him the ramp as a function of that. And your robo just finished, so you actually luck out and pretty much trade really well with that. So we're gonna go ahead and continue. Still getting units. Now at this point, you don't know what your opponent's done, so I think your response is okay. Getting more units is obviously probably better. I would have probably put in a couple of zealots, just a handful, just so you have something to tank. Because a lot of times the stalkers will focus down the zealot and like overkill it, so basically it's like damage nullified essentially. Good bit of micro. And then now that you've got your immortal out, he pretty much can't do anything. Floating a lot of money. At this point, you could put down your second or your third and fourth gas, and not have any big issues. You're still on 4 gates. Probably should be building something out of the robo rather than just letting it sit, but your gas income is kind of what's hindering you there. So you're getting your second gas, your third and fourth gas, which is good. And then I don't. Your upgrades are probably going to be a little bit earlier than his, since you didn't really scout any forge or anything, so that's good. And then your pylon blocked a little bit, so let's see, 4 pylons. I don't necessarily care for this structure alignment, whatever you want to call it, just because if he chooses to go play any warp prism play, he could just like walk in here, plant something down, and then easily walk out without having to worry about getting hit because you're blocking yourself with your own buildings. So you move out. Everything's good so far. I really haven't seen that many mistakes in this game. Just small things here and there, but nothing too terrible. This kind of early pressure is okay. Or I guess it's not really that early. It's 13 minutes, so I mean this pressure is not bad. I'm not sure why you choose to move your army over here, because if he just like walks over this way and starts attacking your natural, you're kind of hosed. So you now got 2 robos. Probably instead of getting that second robo in the Stargate, I probably would have gotten the robo facility. I mean, you can get the second robo and the robo facility, but I would, I don't know. Your composition doesn't really have anything that says, oh, I need a Stargate. Plus, you're obviously working on your ground upgrades as opposed to your air upgrades. So probably could get rid of this and go for the robo bay, and everything be fine. So we're gonna go ahead and continue. Running out of time. So you take a pretty decent engagement. I think he has more units than you. Maybe, I don't know. It's pretty darn close. Now by moving kind of into this zealot line, you kind of give him a really good position, because basically you can try and go this way, but obviously you're gonna have your immortal picked off, and a handful of stalkers. So I mean, you're not going to do anything with this. Um, so moving into attack here is probably not your best decision so far, because I mean you're pretty much gonna lose this entire army for the most part. And then you also put by moving this way as opposed to moving kind of back, you put your immortals in the front of your army, and immortals versus zealots, not a good combination. So that kind of sets you back a little bit because you lose this entire army. But you've done a pretty good job of macroing up, which is awesome. Um, let's see, built any more structures? Still aren't getting +1. Or I mean +2. Excuse me. So that's not that big of a. That's a little bit of a bummer. Your opponent is on 1-1, so you gotta be aware, especially like when you're in a battle situation. Just take one quick second to click on one of their units and see what their upgrades are and see where you are, because if you get too far behind, upgrades can make the biggest difference. So continuing on getting immortals out. So far, like I said, I haven't seen a whole lot of mistakes. Obviously, the mistake of going into here and losing that army. Obviously, that was kind of a big deal. But you're doing a good job keeping your minerals down and building stuff. So great. You probably should have like skipped maybe a couple zealots and just went ahead and expanded, because obviously your main mineral line is pretty much almost out, so kind of a big deal. And another note, you don't have any detection, which means if he goes DTs or anything, if he goes DTs, you're a little bit, unprotected. So you plant a pylon down here, get scouted. And you see he's taking a third, so he's actually taking an earlier third than you, which is actually surprising. This game is very back and forth. So let's go ahead and speed it up, get to an engagement. Back at home, like I said, you're doing a great job keeping your minerals down. So no complaints. You're also doing a better job with your hotkeys, except for you're obviously still only got one hotkey for one nexus, which is going to slow you down a little bit. So you get in and pretty much get a free nexus actually out of this, which is awesome. He chooses not to engage. You get a good fell swoop of seeing what his army composition, and then he actually kind of gives you a really good position because you get the high ground. You take out the mothership core, and he has no longer has vision, which is awesome. So yeah, continuing on getting immortals. Where are your upgrades? You're okay, so you're on +2 now. I probably would have gone ahead and gotten a second forge a little later, a little earlier, just to get toe to toe with him on upgrades. Because obviously, with him being ahead on upgrades, that obviously could be a bad day for you if he gets out higher tech than you, and the upgrades. And then it looks like you've misrally or lack of rally of your third base, which is obviously not good. Okay. So far, like I said, I haven't seen a whole lot of mistake for your league of play, but it's just small things at this point. You're a little bit ahead because you've taken out his third, no big deal. You've dwindled down his army quite a bit. I know he had Colossus earlier, and you took out his Colossus count, so that's obviously good. So you're going around, and you've got a DT on your back. Awesome. So he continues on harassing. You move back, finally get an observer. Now, yeah, see, had you gotten the Robo Bay a long time ago, you could be pumping out double Colossus, and then you could also have the observer speed, which would make dealing with that a heck of a lot easier. And I'm surprised you didn't deal with this pylon as well, now that you notice it. As far as presence on the map, you haven't been... one thing that I would highly recommend is just send a single zealot back here. Just getting a good sweep of this back lane. You could obviously see if any, shenanigans are going on with random pylons, but just small things, like I said. Some free units. some hallucinated Colossus, which is funny. And I think this is pretty much checkmate. Since most of his Colossus are actually hallucinations, and he gets a little bit better of an engagement than I thought he would. But you've just got too much stuff at this point. Your supply is just significantly, it's double his. So you walk in, you take out his pylon, and I think that's more or less GG. So I hope you enjoyed this game, and I hope you learned something, because I hate it if nobody learns anything. But overall, I think you did a really good job. Um, if you're a viewer and would like me to do a cast of your game, feel free to send me an email at replays.sc2.chaos@gmail.com. Just give me a few things. There's some criteria in the description. Give me your name, give me your race, kind of let me know what you want me to talk about in your game, and I'll kind of give you some feedback as to how you're doing. I am currently in Platinum. I'm playing Diamond and Master players, so I think I can give at least constructive criticism on kind of builds and what I think. So feel free to send me an email at that email address. I'll put that in the description. And if you want to come check me out on my stream, I'll also put the link to my stream in the description as well. So come follow me on there. I try and interact with the people in chat, and kind of get them into games. Whether you want to play me 1v1 or want to play on a team game, that is all cool with me. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys later.